So a couple of weeks out from your next fight, Eryk. First and foremost, how are you and how has camp been so far?
Man, camp has been amazing. I know a lot of people and a lot of fighters say that this is the best they felt going into a fight, but I honestly feel, my confidence is at an all-time high. My body feels the best it's ever felt. Literally no injuries, aches, or pains or anything right now. And now, usually at this point during the camp, I'm a little banged up, a little battered and bruised. But I'm feeling superb.
Superb. And let's very briefly touch on your last fight. So you were on a 2-fight winning streak before losing a close decision to Krzysztof Jotko. Can I ask, just under a year removed from that fight now, how do you look back on that fight and performance?
It's a pretty lackluster performance, a lot of hugging, Jocko probably need to take a pregnancy test after that fight. But it is what it is, man. Each fight has a life and history of its own. And like I said, few injuries going into that fight. And man, just it's just the way the fight went, It's not really my preferred method of fighting. I don't think that it was a unanimous decision loss. I think I controlled the vast majority of that fight. And that's supposed to be, one of the things they look at is cage control. So, or octagon control. So, man, it is what it is. You're starting to see that more and more in fighting.
Yeah.
The guys who, the fighters who, hold somebody against the cage or on the ground, but don't do much in the strike department when they have them there. They're losing these fights, and definitely got to keep an eye on that. But this fight coming up, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of wrestling going on at all. He likes to stand and bang, and I just imagine that we're going to meet in the middle and then throw leather.
Superb. Can I ask as well, you were on the third fight card back from the pandemic. I believe it was the 16th of May, if memory serves.
Something like that, yeah.
I think it was the 16th, yeah, the Overeem versus Walt Harris card, I think.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the novelty has worn off a little bit in terms of most fighters on the roster have fought in an empty stadium and all of that. But being one of the first shows back, what was that experience like for you?
Man, I'm the type of guy. I thoroughly enjoy the crowd. I like to hear the oohs and ahs when somebody gets hit or lands a nice little combo or something. So I think all fighters are like that, and or most fighters actually. Kind of feed off the energy of the crowd. And but this is the thing, we're all fighting under the same circumstances, whether it be COVID related or fans or how they do things now. It's just the fighter who makes those adjustments better to the circumstances. And but at the end of the day, those things really don't matter. You have to show up, fight, and rack up these W's.
Yeah, superb. And that was, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, about 10 months previous to when the next fight will be. Can I ask, is there a reason behind this time off? Is there an injury or is it just circumstantial?
Yeah, I had eye surgery after the Jocko fight. So obviously when, you get off that operating table, you want to take your time getting back, yes, especially with something like your eye, because, you need those, especially if you want to fight, unless you're Michael Bisping, who after I found out he fought the last 4 years of his career with one eye, he automatically became my favorite fighter of all time. That's a real fighter, passionate fighter. And I like the shit talking that he does too. So shout out Bisping. Yeah, so and then I was supposed to fight in November, and then missed out on a few short notice opportunities. The fight in November didn't happen. So 2020 really sucked a big one for me, and as I'm sure as a lot of other people as well. So, just looking to bounce back, get back in the win column, collect 2 checks, if not 3, and just go out there and fight and win.
Superb. And let's transition a little bit from the past to the future, if you like. So on the 13th of March, you were scheduled to fight Darren Stewart. Can I ask, how do you view Stewart as an upcoming opponent and maybe a stylistic matchup compared with yourself?
Man, I think we have very similar styles. You know, we both like to throw the hands. Like I said, I imagine we'll meet in the middle and let him ride, you know, and see who the last man standing is. The thing that intrigues me the most about this matchup is that, you know, he's a fighter. You know, he's the type of dude, even if he's rocked, even if he's hurt, man, he's throwing hands, you know, throwing heavy leather. So, you know, that's the thing that I like the most about this fight is as long as we're both conscious, man, you can expect a firefight. So, but also with those kind of matchups, it always leaves with somebody without consciousness. So, you know, quite confident that it'll be me standing at the end.
High risk, high reward, a little bit.
Live by the sword, die by the sword, baby.
Superb. I actually got the opportunity to speak to Darren in December. This was when Kevin Holland had called him out after knocking out Jacare, or said some words about him in the press conference. And he talked to me about a little bit of displeasure and a little bit of anger, if you like, about being matched up with Contender Series guys or UFC debutants. Can I ask, the matchup between yourself and Darren, do you feel like it is going to be one of them progressive fights where whoever wins the fight takes a real big step into maybe a top 15 or ranked guy next?
I mean, coming off a loss, I don't think so. You know, I think to get in that top 15, you have to string together a few wins to crack that top 15. And I think we've both been on the brink of that top 15 rating for a while now, but, you know, just kind of, you know, stumble at the end there. So, yes, I think every win is a step in the right direction, regardless of where the opponent is ranked or his last outing. So, yeah, a W is crucial in this fight.
Now, let's touch a little bit on the camp that you're training at. So, as I understand correctly, you are training at Fight Ready MMA and Fitness in Arizona.
That's right. Yep.
There is a lot of notable names that are training out of that gym. Obviously, I'm not sure if he's head coach, but I know he coaches there, Eddie Char.
Yeah, he'll be in my corner. Yeah, he's the man.
Superb. He is the man 100%. And then some other big fighting names such as Henry Cejudo. I believe the Pitbull brothers work there. I believe Curtis Millinder as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Curtis is out here helping me get ready for this fight. The Pitbull brothers, at least Patricio, he's been in and out of the gym since I've been up here the last 2 months. So yeah, there's a lot of talented guys training out of here, and talented coaches as well. A lot of, you know, I think the coaches are, you know, kind of unsung heroes, you know, because yeah, a fighter will get in there and fight, but it's the coach who kind of prepares them, helps them put together the game plan, trains them. You know, there's a whole team of people out here, even the strength and conditioning coach, Chad Ike. Man, this is the lightest, the leanest, and most athletic I think I've been in all my fights, you know, amateur and pro. That's like 40 plus fights. So yeah. I'm really excited to go out there and showcase like my new ability, new techniques, and to get in there and show the world that I'm not just like a heavy-footed, you know, power puncher, that I can bob and weave and move and, you know, slip and dip, slip and rip, and do all that good fancy stuff too.
Does the gym get it the credit it deserves? Because with a lot of the names that are training out of there, such as yourself and others, it doesn't really seem to be one of them highlighted gyms in the sport.
Yeah, you know, like I said, there's a lot of talented guys out here across all promotions, whether it be Bellator, UFC, early pros. You know, these guys. There's guys out here. Like there's a guy I train with named Ray Waters. You know, he can't even get a fight. You know, he can't even get started. You know, he's got 3 amateur fights. He's trying to make his pro debut. Try to get him a fight in Georgia. Everybody accepts the fight. Then they hit that YouTube button, that search button, and see what he's done to the 3 guys that he's fought before. And they're like, nah, I'm good on that. I'm good. You know, so man, there's a lot of talented guys that you haven't even heard of. This just isn't one of those big mega gyms like like an American Top Team or an AKA or a Jackson Wink or something like that. So they don't have the depth on the UFC roster, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to change here in 2020 because there's a lot of up and comers, a lot of guys who are going to make waves in the sport.
Yeah, superb. There is always them unsung heroes in the gym, isn't there? People who, as you say, maybe early pros or making the pro debut who turn it up in the gym, but are just waiting to be found, if you like.
Yeah, and they will be. A lot of us are managed by the same manager, Jason House. So then he's got like 100-something guys in the UFC. So it's just a matter of time before the world knows. Actually, I should say the casual fans know about Fight Ready.
Superb. Now, obviously, it's well documented of your American football career. I myself had to do a little bit of research because I'm not particularly clued up on the sport, but I understand you had a very successful American football career. Can I ask, if there was one benefit from American football that has transitioned over to MMA for your skill set, what would it be at all? What benefits do you think it has brought?
Man, to play my position, I was a linebacker, which means like, I'm on defense, I'm hitting every play, and I was a lot smaller than everybody else. So I think the football, especially if you're on that front seven, you just develop a certain level of grit that just can't be matched, by normal people. So, when it comes down to fighting, I can take it, I can give it, and I'll keep marching forward as long as, I'm conscious. So I just think, I don't think the sport itself, like football, playing football, athletically makes you a good fighter. There are athletes who play football who could probably play any sport. But like I said, I just think there's a certain level of toughness that you have to play. And I'm sure some of that is natural. I'm 5 out of 6 kids. So, being that low on the totem pole, you have no choice but to be tough. It's slim pickings down there. And and then as far as the athletic standpoint, you spend your whole life training your body for, speed, power, short area quickness, strength, agility, all these things that make an athlete. And then you give them that grittiness and that toughness behind playing linebacker or defensive end or D-line or offensive line. Man, you just have to have somebody who can show you how to throw punches and properly move as it relates to MMA and grappling and boxing and kickboxing and things like that. And then you have the recipe for, a great fighter.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I ask, I'm sure you will have been asked this before, but talk to me about the process of you moving from American football over to MMA. How did that decision come across?
Man, it was really, really an accident, to be honest. Because man, you spend your whole life being an athlete, you spend your whole life being competitive, and then overnight it's over, and now you have to go get a job, you're sitting at a desk, there's nothing to compete, with football I was competing against for my starting position.
Yeah.
In the corporate world, unless you own the business, you're just competing to make somebody else a bunch more money. They're paying you the least amount of money that you'll accept to work at that job. So, whatever they're paying you, they're making, 5 times as much. And I guess it's the same in the UFC and stuff like that. But the difference is, I just found myself being frustrated, just angry all the time. And I'm not an angry person, quite the opposite. In fact, I'm super chill, mellow, and just, like to kick it. But I just found myself walking around with my fists clenched up all the time, just angry. And man, I just wanted to blow off some steam. So I walked into the gym, started training, and fell in love with the sport immediately. And kind of thought to myself after my very first sparring session that, man, I think this is what I want to do. So man, I would just wake up super early, 4:30 in the morning, train for a few hours, work all day, and then come back at night and train again. And, I wasn't getting home till 11 o'clock at night. And I just did what I had to do so I could do what I wanted to do, which was fight.
And how old were you when you finished your American football career and began training MMA?
I believe I was 23, 24, something like that. So, a lot older than most people when they get started in the sport. But like I said, like my toughness, grit, and determination to make it to the UFC was kind of the driving force. I had 20-something amateur fights. I think I'm going into like my 19th professional fight. So I think now is where the rubber meets the road. And, before when I first got in the UFC, I thought I was ready, for these kind of fights or whatnot, but I wasn't. I didn't know what I didn't know. And now I made some corrections, changed training camps, and like I said, really excited to show the new me.
Because I believe your third UFC fight, and I think it was your 11th pro fight, was the Machida main event.
That's it. Yeah.
So that's quite early, isn't it, in a pro career to go from fighting, to starting your career to going all the way to a main event against Lyoto Machida in Brazil.
Yeah, I've never been shy of a challenge, and man, I really thought I could, and I thought that I did beat Machida, but the thing I learned the most in that fight, I think, is like how judges score fights, and I think you really have to pay attention to who the judges are, because there's a guy named Tony Weeks who's a boxing referee.
Yeah.
So what is he? How much does he know about MMA? So he gave Machida 4 rounds. I don't know how that's possible when, I think I dropped him in 3 out of the 5 rounds, had him leaking. Yeah, he hit me more, but, what's really a significant strike, So I think myself, the world, and even Machida after the fight, if you check his demeanor before they read the score, his head is down. He's walking around in circles with his head down, he just doesn't look like a guy who feels that he won a fight. He looks disappointed. So obviously his attitude changed when they read his name as the winner. So, like I said, it is what it is.
Yeah, that is the problem, isn't it? With 3 people's personal preference, if you like, somebody could, I think another example for that would be some judges not really scoring leg kick damage. Leg kicks are, should be scored very highly, in my opinion, and yet some judges almost treat them as if they haven't happened. No way.
Man, I just think that like something has to happen when you land a strike, right? Like if I just touch you with the jab and you're just standing there and nothing happens, is that a significant strike?
Yeah.
I don't think so. But if I, hit you with a jab and your head goes flying back and sweat pops off your face, that's a significant strike. If I'm just kicking you with my big toe, like Machida was doing me, that's not a significant strike. My leg's not moving. It's not making me back up. I'm not flinching. So I just think that like they should, like this would be my 11th, UFC fight, my 19th overall, I believe. But I still don't know what a significant strike is. What is a significant strike? Is it just like a flush shot? Is that a significant strike? Or is it a shot that, doesn't necessarily do damage, but causes a reaction, Yeah. If I punch you in the nose, if I just, like Machida is a perfect example. And I'm not hating on Machida. He won the fight. It is what it is. But for me, if you just run around slapping somebody with the tip of your foot and they're not flinching, moving, or doing anything, that's a strike, but a significant strike, I don't think so.
The example I always use for that is if we have this significant strike category in MMA, what is the opposite of it? Significant? Insignificant? So that should surely
just like
tell
a
you.
landed shot,
Yeah. No, but what I mean is the idea of something of significance versus something of insignificance. That should be something that's insignificant shouldn't really be scored in it. It should be scored, but it shouldn't be scored as much as you say, a power shot or something like that.
Yeah, and maybe that's the terminology that should be used, is like a power shot and significant strike. And they should be two different things. I don't know. I think MMA is new, and I'm not sure really what the qualifications that a judge needs to be a judge in MMA, because man, the scores are all over the place.
Yeah.
And so it almost seems like they're flipping a coin if the fight goes to a decision. And sometimes they are a coin flip. Like sometimes the fight is so close, like shit, I don't know who won and I fight, but sometimes not so much. And sometimes the wrong guy gets the nod. And I know they say that bullshit, don't leave the fight into the hands of the judges, but man, I assure you, every time I fight, I'm trying to separate the guy I'm fighting from consciousness. You don't have to worry about me trying to finish the fight. I'm trying, I promise. So I don't think that that's really an excuse or, should even be said for a lot of fighters, because I think they are all trying to finish the fight. They're all trying to get that second check, and they're all trying to, probably pick up a win bonus. So I don't know. I think there should be like a class or something where maybe you should have like former fighters be judges, and there should be a separate commission, like an MMA commission or a boxing commission, in charge of these things. So I don't know, but there definitely needs to be something to be fixed with these judges.
Yeah, I've always hated that phrase, "Don't leave it in the hands of the judges," because you guys are tough people. It's not easy to put a UFC caliber fighter away. It will not be easy for you to put Darren Stewart away, and it won't be easy for Darren Stewart to put you away. It's a very simplistic argument. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges, is it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Now there are some dudes who like point fight and do that thing, but man, when you're talking about a guy like me, when you're talking about a guy like Darren Stewart, man, I don't need points. Man, I'm not fighting for points.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you out of there. And, I'm sure Darren is too. So, maybe I should change my approach, but man, this is kind of who I am as a person, and I'm stubborn in that regard. So, you don't ever have to worry about me trying to point somebody up and just lightly touch and stick and move. And, not necessarily saying that every punch or strike or whatever is a power shot, but I'm not going to stand there and, just try and leg kick somebody for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not my nature.
Superb. Final question, Eryk, because I do know that you are busy. Give me a prediction for the 13th of March. What happens in your fight versus Darren Stewart?
Man, I just said the whole point thing, but man, Darren's hard to get out of there, has a mind. So it may come down to points, but I can assure you there will be a lot of heavy leather thrown, and at the end, it'll be my hand raised in victory. So, yes, of course, I would love to get him out of there, and I will try to do so. But like I said, he's a tough guy to finish. He's a fighter, and I'm prepared to go the whole 15 if necessary.
Superb. Eryk, I very much thank you for your time today. It was an honor and a privilege.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Anytime.
Thank you. Before we finish, how can people find you on social media?
Man, you guys can get at me at Eryk Anders, ERYKANDERS, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Holla at your boy.
Superb. And can I ask, is the fight being announced? Is it on the main card or the prelims? Do you know that yet?
I have no idea. I think the UFC, they're really more worried about this March 6th card with 3 titles on the line than they are about, the rest of March at this point. So we probably won't find out until fight week.
Superb. And final question, is there anything you would like to say or sign off with at all?
Man, just thank you to, everybody over there overseas in Liverpool and all of England for, supporting me. And, I know I'm fighting your countrymen, but I assure you it's all love. And, he's just out there trying to do what I'm trying to do. So may the best man win.
What a great way to finish our interview.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for your time today, Eryk.
My pleasure. You have a good one.